So, I want to talk about something really important, and it is vital that when you are building up your sexual sovereignty and stepping more fully into owning your sexual power, that you understand about this factor and you learn how to navigate it well. So, my question then is for you. Are you a threat to other women? Is your sexuality a threat to other women? Now, I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience, I never thought of myself as a threat to other women because I would never cheat. I've never cheated. I've never been cheated on. I've never been the cheatee. So, I'm very blessed for that reality. And I would never do that. I would never like take somebody's man away from them. It's just not in my sphere of consciousness. So, in my mind, I am not a threat, but I am very much in my sexual power and I am very open and I am incredibly loving. And so, what happens sometimes is when a woman who is not fully in her ripest place in her own sexual journey of really, really knowing her truth and really, really standing in her confidence around that truth, she could certainly take me or you, if this is where you're at, as a threat. So it's easy to perceive another woman as a threat. And it's something that when you're building up and you're stepping more fully into this path of tantra and Taoist sexual practices and really expanding your possibilities of what sexuality even is for you, just to be super hyper aware that you're going to trigger other people. Like people around you are going to get triggered. And what I want to say about developing this and really stepping into the sexual sovereignty is there's three things that are really crucial, really important. So the first one is receptivity, right? Because receptivity, I always say, is the feminine's greatest superpower. And we all have feminine energy, male, female, gender, non binary. We all have feminine energy. It runs right down through this front midline of the body. This is your yin meridian. So if you're in a body, you have feminine energy. And since the feminine's greatest superpower is receiving, which is something that we're not taught to do in our society, it's highly, highly undervalued. What you have to do when you're developing your femininity, when you're developing your sexuality, is really become this magnet. It makes you magnetic when you're in a deep practice of receiving, and receiving can only be done in the present moment. I can't receive what was yesterday, and I can't receive what's to come tonight. I can only receive what's in the present moment. So, turning that superpower on is the first step to really embodying your own sexual sovereignty, to really stepping into the queendom of your essence. The second piece, once you've got that sort of in place and you're magnetizing possibilities and attracting situations into your life, people, new places, new opportunities, then what you want to do is discern, right? You've got to get your discernment factor in place. And in Chinese medicine, the two places that we discern from are the heart and the gut, not the head. Okay, the heart and the gut. So you want to really listen to those two places inside of you. It's much more about your intuition and following your gut and following your heart rather than thinking your way through something. So, especially when you're really rising up in your sexual power, you need to discern, is this the right scenario? Is this the right situation? Are these the right people? How far can I expand out my sexual energy with these people? Is it going to get misconstrued? You've really got to have your finger on the pulse and be taking the temperature of your environment constantly. And so that discernment piece is crucial. And then the third one that I want to talk about is integrity. So you're going to find that you might have integrity for yourself. Like, oh, I was acting in integrity. I didn't do anything that was crossing any lines. It was all within my own truth and my own integrity. However, you may be crossing the integrity lines of another person, specifically another woman. And so it's always, always best, and I learned this the hard way, so take my advice on this. It's always best if you check in with the queen bee. Whoever the queen bee of any situation is, always check in with her. How are you doing? Is my energy too much? Are you doing okay? Like, do I need to roll back on my sexual jokes or the way my energy is, or am I touching, your brother or your husband or your son or anything too much? Like, am I being too, check in with her and use direct language, not just checking in energetically. Really get clear, have conversation. This creates camaraderie between women. And we've really been bred in our society to be pitted against each other. Well, a woman's sexual power is a really strong force in the world. It's one of the strongest things that there is. And so that's why years and eons of oppression have been put upon the feminine. And now we're in this time, in this place where we get to rise out of it collectively, each one of us doing our own part. And collectively, we are starting to rise up out of that. And what's so potent and so powerful about that is that we're hopefully boosting each other up along the journey. However, there's this old pattern and this old way of thinking, this old mentality of like, oh, you looking around. Our society has taught us to judge ourselves and to judge each other so that, we're looking around and comparing ourselves to other women and not really truly in our sovereignty. Sovereignty means to have the authority over your own authentic truth. So that's a really powerful thing to have, authority over your own authentic truth, and know how to navigate that with a sense of discernment. Is it going to be nourishing if I go this way, or is it going to be toxic if I go that way? Well, then I'm going to choose this way. So I really encourage you to play with these three keys to expanding and developing your sexual and feminine energy in this world. And if you come across any roadblocks, or upset someone or trigger someone, just be really gentle with yourself and know that that means you've grown. That means you've bursted through some layers of your own stuff, and you're triggering people who are still carrying that stuff. So it is a bit of a celebration in a way when someone gets triggered, but it's also an opportunity for you to take even more responsibility for the power that you're wielding, because wielding sexual power is a very, very great responsibility. So that's what I have for you. Go ahead and like this and send me an email if you have any questions, or if something's been coming up for you and you're just confused about it, or you're not sure, you just want someone to talk to about it. Shoot me a line and let's connect. I'm sending you so much love.